divine consent. And for those who are wondering where I'm going with this, we have to understand how we descended, how we got to where we are, if we are to decode how to get back home. You follow me? You cannot find your way back home unless you trace your steps back and understand the trajectory of descent, how you got here. Okay? So we go back. This is the Sankofa. We go back. We learn. We understand how the fall took place. Why are we in a life where there's suffering? Why do we have conflict? Why do we have disease? Why do we have ignorance? Why are we in this spiritual darkness where we read things and it just doesn't make sense? You have one person over here saying one thing, somebody else saying something else. At what point is there clear understanding? Is there light? And this comes when we begin to understand the beginning, okay, when all these things came into place. So when the light came forth, when the word was spoken, let there be light, we're talking about an intent. We're talking about the allowance and the consent of that light. That light then came forth. Now, the light that came forth is, and those of you who've been following me on YouTube know that I broke a lot of this down. I gave the introduction on YouTube. So if you're interested in, reviewing that, that is on YouTube, and you can just search Nazir Ra. And, of course, there you can pull up the latest video. But when the light came forth, we're talking about intelligent creation. We're talking about the intellect, the divine creative intellect, which is none other than what people call the divine feminine. You see, you cannot create something just out of mere pure nothingness. That is total illogic and impossible. You have to create the womb, first of all. First, you have to have a place to put it in. That is the divine womb. You also have to conceive of the divine faculty in which to bring it forth. God, or the Most High, works through divine faculties. So the faculty, and this is why they say ancient cultures had, polytheistic, many gods. It's not many gods. It's different faculties of the same God. You have the intellect, you have the wisdom, you have the destruction, you have the rebuilding, you have the, the nurturing aspect, you have the knowledge. All of these are just simply divine faculties. So the faculty of divine or intelligent creative power had to come forth, which is none other than the divine feminine, also known as the Holy Spirit, the Shekinah, okay, the Christ, the Ka that comes from Egypt. Christ comes from the older concept of the Ka in ancient Kemet, which is the Christ. And for those of you, who want to know deeper information about that, you can go to hiddenpoweruniversity.com, hiddenpowerrevealed.com, and I have a whole 7-hour class that I taught on that, Metaphysics of Christ and the Apocalypse. But just to move forward, this first duality, this divine feminine, creative power and creative intellect was the light that came forth. And at that point, there was darkness, because in order to have the darkness, you have to have the light. So everything previous to that became known as so-called darkness, which is divine potentiality, or the singularity, the infinite singularity where all things are one. So now we have two energies. We have two energies, and we all know if you're by yourself, living by yourself, it's hard to get into drama. But once there's another person in that house with you, now there can be some conflict. Now there can be some drama. And this is where the divine drama starts to take root, where we have the light being called forth, the light being called forth, or the creative intellect. Once you open the door to creativity, the door is open, and now all things can come to pass. Okay? So it takes this, this divine intelligence is the faculty by which the Most High has created, or the Hidden One has created, the Holy of Holy has created the entire universe. All it takes is for an action without consent of the other for there to be conflict. Think about it in a house. Once somebody, drinks up the orange juice or something that you bought, if you have a roommate, somebody does something without your consent or without your knowledge, then there becomes a conflict. And this is the essence of what took place when you start to delve into the Nag Hammadi text, the hidden text, also known as the secret book of John. the secret outlawed book of John. This is the books that they don't want you to read in church. This is the books that it goes way back to the Roman Catholic Church, where they had heresy hunters and people that just go out and kill people who were still reading these books that the church said, we're not going to accept that. And that goes into a lot of politics of why, they don't want you to read this stuff. But if you look with a keen and observant eye, all the clues are right there in your own King James, watered-down, mistranslated Bible. And I'm going to reveal that for you today. So, like I said, as long as there's an agreement and consent and harmony within a dwelling, within a cipher, within a room, within a house, wonderful things can come forth. Holy and complete things can come forth. This is where you talk about in Christianity when two are divinely yoked or equally yoked. The masters teach us that if two people in a house be in agreement, they can say unto a mountain, move out of our sight, and the mountain will vanish. That's speaking to the power of to overcome any obstacles when you are in oneness and holy agreement. Oneness and in holy agreement with your mate. Okay? Consent and oneness and agreement with your community, with your organization, with whatever group of people it may be. It has to be a divine agreement. You have to be equally yoked. Now, the implications are boundless with, like I said, family, marriage, community, even politics. So the question is, why don't people agree? Why is there so much disagreement? Obama has his plan. You have, Romney has his plan, and they all, they have a disagreement. But we're living in an age of facts. We're living in an age of science. Shouldn't it be that we just look and study and see what has worked in the past and just do that? Everything is clear, observable facts. We have computers. We have a vast amount of knowledge of thousands of years of human civilization. We should be to the intelligent level of being able to know what works and what doesn't work. It's just as common. It's just as plain as that. Why can't we just use plain, clear, common sense? This is what children always ask. They say, Daddy, why don't they just do what works? Daddy, that didn't work. Why are they still doing this? And we're going to find out why. We see the same thing in religion. The same exact thing in religion. In all of our institutions, from education, religion, it doesn't matter. People fail to see, look, this is not working, but they keep trying to beat the dead horse. Okay, if religion was the end-all, be-all, and it has worked and it's working for our planet, we would not have the suffering and the war and the disease and the pestilence and the hate that we have in the world today. Religion has failed our planet, bottom line. Okay, it has failed in the way that it's been practiced and believed in the past. I'm not to say, belief in God or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying the way that it's been disseminated, the way it's been taught, it's been used as a political tool and has kept people spiritually stagnated.